Good day, Maswati Lamahle. Once again, we're doing our Finance in Focus and just talking about issues of the day and what's going on. And sometimes what we then do is in the ministry, we just look at what is on social media, what are people maybe not understanding, and we just unpack it a bit clearer so that we can all just get a better understanding of how the government tries to manage the finances, how the government looks at finances, and why we do certain things. Because ultimately some people might not feel it, but really the government wakes up every day trying to serve the people in the best possible way and trying to do the best thing for the people. I know it's not, sometimes doesn't feel like that. It didn't feel like that to me when I was outside of government, but now that I'm in government, I know every day you're trying to do that. One is not perfect in doing that, but at the same time, that's the intent. Now, where a bit of confusion came in around the VAT, I think at the moment, even though we know South Africa was going for a 0.5%, 2025, 2026, another 0.5% to possibly get to 16%. It was ultimately rejected in Parliament, it was semi-approved in Parliament, it went to court and it was rejected in the courts, and then the government, just with the court case, decided to withdraw it. And because of that, Eswatini, we were also on this side doing the same thing, following suit with South Africa on the 0.5%. And that raised a lot of questions. They say, are we not a sovereign country? Are we not a country that can stand on our own 2 feet, make our own decisions? Why do we need to follow what South Africa does? Are we not independent? And so just to maybe add clarity in this and to bring some context into this discussion and into the understanding, I think we need to understand when it comes to other tax measures, we are very different to South Africa. If one looks at our corporate tax rate is a few percentage points below South Africa. Our PAYE is considerably below South Africa when it comes to our PAYE in Eswatini. But when it comes to VAT, it is because of the heavy trade that takes place. As we know, about 70% of our trade is with South Africa. So 70% of the stuff that we buy on the shelves every day in Eswatini comes from South Africa. And about 70% of the products that we sell in Eswatini, be it the sugar or the timber or the textiles or stuff that we do in the country, gets sold into South Africa. Now, if one has a different VAT rate on either side of the border, it means, let's just give you a picture, one goes to South Africa, one buys something, now you want to cross it. Now you've paid a 15.5% in South Africa. Eswatini might be able to still continue claiming the 15%, but theoretically you must now go and claim your 0.5% that you have unjustifiably paid more for in South Africa. You're going to have to go form the queues and get your payments back in that. We might have had a problem even in claiming the 15% because now we are not claiming the full 15.5%. We're not sure, we didn't have to go there, but that might have been a problem, meaning you might have had to now pay the 15% in Eswatini and claim the 15.5% in South Africa, number one. Number two, stuff moving the other way. So now in Eswatini, where if goods cross the border going to South Africa, keep in mind it is now a payment which one needs to make when the goods cross the border. On this side it's 15%, on that side it's 15.5%. Once again, it would have created a lot of confusion. It would have created a lot of extra work that we would have had to do as government in doing so. So when the 0.5% came through, we then said, well, how could we possibly try to cushion in Maswati against the 0.5%? It wasn't our plan. It wasn't in our tax mix this year to try to increase the VAT. But unfortunately, we had to follow. So what we did was we looked at the non-vatable items. If you recall, we announced it to say if the 0.5% goes through, we were going to not charge VAT on a whole lot of different meat products, as well as I think it was sanitary pads and certain hygiene products we weren't going to. We were considering even bar soap, you know, the soap that we use in Eswatini. We were thinking of possibly not charging VAT on that. Just to make sure that because of the 0.5% increase, we're going to add some of these goods, meaning that we can cushion this impact on especially the poorer households in the country. Now, it wasn't necessary to do that because it was all withdrawn, so hence we are also not going to go ahead with not charging VAT. We're going to continue charging VAT on those products because we were only doing it to try to cushion, and the cushion is no longer needed. At the same time, keep in mind, we do need to collect the tax in Eswatini, and so for that reason, we are going to continue to just maintain where we are on the current VAT rates, but that is the reason for that. At the same time, I suppose if we're talking about sovereignty, we need to keep in mind our currency is linked, so we are part of what they call the CMA countries. Eswatini, Lesotho, Namibia are all linked to the ZAR, the South African Rand. and our currencies are linked to it. It works well for our economies, it works well for our countries. Even though we have independence, we have our 𝐼𝐓'𝐒, our 𝐼𝐓'𝐿𝐒, but at the same time, we need to keep in mind that being linked to the ZAR, being linked to the Rand, does work well for us as a country, especially because of all the trade that takes place across the borders. We need to keep in mind that because of all this trade, we need to constantly be aware of what goes on in South Africa and also try and align ourselves where the opportunities might come up as a country because of that. So I don't believe it affects our sovereignty in any way. It's just a strategic way that one does this. Many things in the world, you might be sovereign, but if we decide tomorrow we're not going to use US dollar to buy our imports anymore, we don't have a choice. Even though we're sovereign, we still have to use US dollars to import with. We can't use our 𝐼𝐓𝐿𝐒 because people out there are not wanting our 𝐼𝐓𝐿𝐒. They are wanting US dollars when it comes to goods that are being paid. So even though we are sovereign, there are still many decisions that we need to take into account to be able to do business and to be able to make sure that business that are happening in Eswatini is relevant and make sure they can survive and do well. We do need to be cognizant of all these elements that make that doing business thrive in Eswatini. So whatever we need to do, be it sovereign or not sovereign, we need to implement that so that that businesses in Eswatini can thrive, create more employment for Eswatini, and ultimately grow the economy. And growing the economy is taking us out of poverty. So we do believe we're doing the right thing in this space, and we hope that the nation can trust us and believe that the government is really doing their best to try and maintain and try and grow what they can grow in our country. Thank you very much, Maswati.